Hey everybody, BTO Pro here, and today I'm going to show you why I'm freaking out about a new API concept in HAX that I'm calling haxHooks. So we have the haxProperties, and the haxProperties is the way that any web component in the universe, or via definition added after the fact, makes itself known to HAX. So the way HAX ends up working is, get the body here, it's a single tag called HAX, and the HAX tag wraps this entire experience up. Then anything in this area, which is in a tag called haxBody, seen there, anything in the light DOM of that, which is just the normal HTML tree here, right? So we can see there's a paragraph, images, and whatever. It understands the definitions of how to modify this stuff. Now, some of those definitions come just because it's HTML primitive logic, right? So like a paragraph. So if I hit enter, we inject a new paragraph, apply stuff, right? And it's text, so it should have some textual operations. That's very, very specific to text, right? That's what you expect to happen. I don't need to go and hijack that. What's most powerful about a HAX is that you, implementing the system, can define the way that the system operates. And what I mean is all of these tags over here that are available, you can use all of them or none of them. You can make up your own. This is coming from a single definition. We call it autoloader. There's a JSON file that sets this up and says, hey, here's a tag name and here's where the definition is. Then when the tag gets placed into the page, it unpacks the definition and the web component got imported. Now I get an editing experience because of a single implemented hook or function, method, whatever you want to call it, on that web component. So on the retro-card element, there is a static get haxProperties. It returns our schema. We turn the schema into full headless forms. Okay, so we're on the same page there. This is a brand new concept in that same vein. We're calling haxHooks. haxHooks allows you to tap into the state management of HAX, but in the same way, right? So if I ship retrocard to any application, if it doesn't implement haxProperties, who cares? Doesn't matter. It's one function extra. Woo. In fact, in certain tooling, it's just going to rip that function out anyway. You could apply it via another location if you really cared. So here's what haxHooks does. haxHooks allows us to tap in and understand when certain critical actions are happening in HAX and gives us control to do whatever the hell we want. Now, the first implementation of this is seen in tables. So when I have an editable table tag that Nikki wrote last year, an editable table knows anything in my slotted area or light DOM. If it's a table, I can turn that into data, consume that data, do stuff highly accessibly with that data, right? And give the user, close that for a second, give them this type of an editing experience, right? So we're putting this table in place for accessibility. Let's add a caption, right? Okay, got those in place. And then we can, okay, we want the header and footer rows is really important, right? Let's add some styling to it. Do all of that in context to the page. And here's where haxHooks is coming in. Okay, in the DOM, okay, so haxBody typically goes, ooh, editable table. I need the definition of that and allow me to modify that. haxHooks implemented inside of the table tags definition and this other editor, which I'll show in a second, allow us to inject whatever editing experience we want. So when I click away from this, the table stays there. And the table has been replaced with editable table display. When I click back to the table, it ingests it because it wraps it in the editable table tag. I am freaking out about this, okay? Editable table is not aware of HAX prior to yesterday in about 5 minutes of work. So what's going on here? And here's where I'm going to actually make another hook implementation live. I'm going to make up a brand new hook. So let's look at editable table real quick. So in fact, I'll do it like that. Yeah, I know it'll help me. Okay, so in HAX store, we have to ship the HTML primitives definitions, okay? So we don't have HAX schema laying around W3C elements, right? So if I want to, add a paragraph to HAX or even a link, something has to even just say like, hey, there's a tag, it's a link, it's acceptable. Very, very mundane integration, right? We do it for all the HTML primitives. I have to define those. Okay, we don't tend to run into those, but like lists and things, you're going to run into that. You'll have it with legacy content that you've ported to HAX, whatever. So here we have our table definition. Okay, so our tag is table, right? It says tag table. We're going to forcibly set the HAX properties. This is the way you can actually have non-HAX capable elements feed HAX schema or tweak HAX definitions. But so we're going to say, here's the definition of table. And that allows us to type the word table, and it comes up with table or enhanced table, which is slightly different, but not really. So there's our table tag. So this is the HAX, the normal HAX properties definition that's coming across in static get HAX properties. You'll see this in any of the elements we implement. Now, what I changed, and actually you can see it here, right? So static get HAX properties. This is on the editable table display. So if there's a fancy displayed table tag in the page, it'll know how to edit it. Okay. So what's changed here is one, I added, there's now types. We're not fully implementing type yet, but type allows you to say, this is a grid type of element I'm supplying, or this is an element like for general display. The default is element. The big deal is editing element. So editing element says, this is the tag that can edit me, and here's the definition of it. So using our same import lazy on demand import system that we've been using for everything else, it injects the editable table tag. And the way it injects that is it goes into the store, and we can see, here we go. Hey, if we have core, which is the default, right, for all the legacy ones. So if it's core, position the context menu. Now the context menu is on any other element, it's just this little thing that sits here. Okay, so if we go to an image, it sits there. I'm getting errors because I've just been screwing with this tag. I'll show you in a second. But so that's that menu. However, if we don't have properties and we're not editing a core element, right there. Okay. So see what we're editing. If we have an import statement, dynamically import it and await it being there before we move forward. It's important. Then create an instance of the tag. Then if it's in a slot, maintain the slot value, which is also fun, right? So if I have a column here, and then we hit enter, and I move this over here, and then we type table, it's still there, even when we move away from it. So we've got that. Okay, so now we're making the editing tag. We've put the slot on it. We have an internal fallback that I've always had in place for when this is available. It's called ignore active. Ignore active means when what I'm about to do, don't register it the way HAX normally would do this, which is to apply content editable, to make it something that it knows it can touch and it should change state to. So this effectively allows me to inject advanced operations that don't trigger its traditional, like, oh, I better go make sure that that's acceptable. Then wrap, and all wrap does is say, take what our active tag is, in the case of table, because we selected it, and wrap it with the editable table. Then run the HAX hook. Run that hook against active editable element, and run the hook active element changed, passing in the active element and the state change. Now this is an array, so it's any values that we feel like. If we want to look at what run hook is real quick, we can go to run hook. See, I have a bunch of them now. And run hook is going to test that this hook exists. And all the test is does the element passed in have haxHooks as a defined function off of it? If it does, run the operation in question, assuming it has that operation. So what the hell is a haxHook? So active element changed in the case of editable table, haxHook. So if I have an editable table, now this is the editor, not the tag, the table tag, we can do that one too. But so if the editor that just got injected, we also run this hook on that editor because I don't know what you just added as the editor. And then it runs that same thing and says, oh, well, okay, if I'm, let's skip that. let's just toggle the menu on, or toggle us on, right? So we have the editable table has an active editing state. This allows us, whenever the element is clicked on, to have that state align with what HAX has. Again, Nikki did not engineer editable table to have awareness of HAX in any way. This is the only reason that works. So active element change, that hook fires, it says, oh, call the callback, runs a callback, passes in our element that is now made active, and the value, whether or not we're active or not. So we're active. Cool, toggle it on. You do your editing, I click away. Okay, I need a change record to say, hey, we're not active anymore. It says, okay, generate a replacement. So run internal logic of editable table to figure out what the user made, turn that into an element, a DOM node, and replace what was there previously with the DOM node. Then toggle off for state management consistency and go away. So, I need to drink more soda here. I'm too excited about this. So, what that does, this little portion aligns the state temporarily and then correctly disaligns the state when it's done. The editable table doesn't care about HAX. HAX is saying, hey, do you care about me right now? And it goes, oh, yeah, sure, for that event I do. So let's look at some other HAX hooks. Code editor. Okay, code editor has to do special cleanup on its internal value because it's a Monaco editor. All right, well, we're about to process the node and turn it into content. Run this crap against the node. We're good, right? We can add anything in using this type of a nice little simple type methodology. So if we look at RetroCard, I really like this example. I came up with this today. So RetroCard is that card that I added to the page. And part of the issue with RetroCard is when I select it, it normally has some type of, let me find a JPEG here from a random JPEG service. All right. Okay, so there we go. Nikki loves that image. So we're going to put in Always Sunny in Philadelphia, right? And usually what you do with RetroCards, it links somewhere. So it might you might click it and it goes to the actual link. Well, if I click it, it's going to go there. I'm not going to be able to edit it. So what we did in RetroCard is say, okay, well, when edit mode changes internal to HAX, just align with that state value. Use that state value then when someone clicks on you, right? So there's this HAX state. When someone clicks the card, if we are in HAX state, kill the event off. So if you make the card active, let's say it got added into the page after edit mode was set, it's going to make sure only if it's enabled, like if we're editing actively, then do this. And again, when we switch out of edit mode, right? So click, it's not working, save, click, and it now goes there. So that's another implementation of that lifecycle. Okay, let's make a brand new lifecycle out of thin air here. So I have the context menu. I want to generate multiple choice and go, you know what, it'd be really nice if I had just a button there that was like, hey, add an item. Now I can't add an item over here. This is the way that I end up adding these items, and this comes from the HAX schema, but it would be really nice if it was over here. I was like, oh shoot, I need another option, right? Just put it in place. That's what I'm thinking. So at minimum, I want to be able to support this capability. So what happens with haxCE context is, and I said I screwed it up. I did actually screw it up before, but remove child is not a function. It doesn't like wipe slot because I'm computing values too rapidly. So I figured it was something like that actually. So on screen and this dot shadow root should be a pretty simple fix actually. Nope. Let's make sure we have a shadow root before we call the slot wiping. If we have a shadow root, wipe slot, and I actually have to pass in an item, moron. That would be the real problem. Okay, so there we go. All right, so now, and wipe slot is a utility we have. So whenever this loads up, it's going to wipe out the slot of that little area there, put my icon there so I can click it and transform this from a normal image into like a styled image, or from a styled image into a self-check, and it's going to pass certain data parameters between them so that I can do this remixing in context. I do enjoy the fact that probably a lot of you don't know that this is even possible. All right, so we've added that. Now let's add in another HAX hook. So the HAX hook I'm going to add in, and I already wrote part of it, is this. So we're going to tap into the store. We're going to run a hook. And in fact, with the other HAX hooks, I've put like a C HAX hook inline context menu. Okay. And we're going to run that on the active node, which is the thing you just clicked on. We're going to run the hook inline context menu, and we're going to pass in parameter of this, which is our custom element context menu. Now, the way that I implement this internal to my element, let's go find multiple choice. Okay, so we're going to go over to multiple choice. I believe it already has HAX hooks. Yep, for processing, because it's pretty complicated the way it's storing certain information. So it's weird that it has code pen data here. I feel like it's not supposed to have that part, but let's go. You have to clean that part up. But so let's add in, right? And I'm just naming them this way. You don't have to do it that way. But so what we're going to do is add buttons when it is in context. And so now we'll do that. The thing getting passed into us is the reference to the CE menu. So we'll just call it CE menu. And then we're going to do CE menu dot append child node. And we're just going to do a real basic one here. We're going to do let node equal document dot create element. Again, there's no dependencies involved. Yeah, there's some extra code here, but there's no dependencies involved in what I'm currently doing, right? So I'm not bloating it up with dependencies, even though I'm enhancing the experience of HAX editing this thing in question. So, all right, so we got node dot, we'll do mini equals true. Okay, action. It doesn't have more items. It's not slotted on prefix. I've already accounted for that. Let's do icon, and for the purposes of this, we'll just say edit so that we can show that there's a button there. Label, okay, it's going to equal edit this, right? And then event name, I could actually have an event name added onto this. However, I think what I'm going to do is do node.add event listener, and I'm going to listen for a click. Yeah, I went there. And we are going to do this dot HAX click inline add dot bind this. Okay, and then we're going to go HAX click inline add event, E, and then we're going to say this dot, there's a thing for adding options, I believe. Multiple choice. haxProperties. Okay. Actually, let's just do that as the dot icon name. Yep. Instead of edit. Console.log. Okay. Console log.detail. All right. So this is going to be our event in question here. Let's see if this works. So I've got to open another window here. We got to do a real quick build of multiple choice. We're going to start. So that'll run a watch so we can, this is commonly the way we develop these things, right? And make sure that this still works. That's not the right answer. Reset. Select these. Awesome. You got a meal deal. Okay. So it means it's still working. Make sure there's no errors in console. All right, that's from a Chrome extension suite. All right, now we go back over to here. Let's see if our new HAX hook is going to do what I hope it does. Multiple choice. Bingo. So like that, I can now inject conditional operations right there. Yes, I have to wire it up to do this, which is not the point of this video. It's to showcase how much API flexibility this MobX-based refactor is giving HAX. So I'm actually planning to hold off on the next version of this release for a little bit longer so that I can refine this even further. So if you want to learn more about our quest to undermine the educational technology establishment, make really neat stuff, you can go to haxtheweb.org or join us on Slack at bit.ly/haxslack. Catch you later.